Soup for President, Chapter 10. Done at last, Soup sighed. All the red paint is off the barn. The manure's still red. Well, it'll just have to stay red. I'm plumb tuckered out. Come on, let's get the ladder back to your Uncle Charlie. We toted it back. Now what'll we do? I asked Soup. Let's jump in the hay. I saw a great place for hay jumping inside Uncle Charlie's barn. I'm too pooped. Ah, you're always tired, Soup said. That's because I do all of the painting and most of the scraping. All you candidates do is boss. Somebody has to be the brains, said Soup. Sure, I said with a deadpan face. Besides, said Soup, throwing an arm around my neck, you're the best doggone campaign manager that I ever had in my whole life. How many have you had? One, said Soup. Arms around each other's shoulders, we walked alongside Halpern's Road, which was on the backside of town. Then we climbed the fence behind Mrs. Semple's seamstress place and cut through the junkyard so we could tight rope across Putz Creek on the fallen log. We were passing behind the row of houses next to the Baptist church when my head went through the tire. Gotcha! Yelled Janice. It wasn't just an old car tire. Janice Riker had dropped a truck tire off Mr. Backley's garage roof, and there it was, snug around both Soup and me, like a cowboy would lasso a pair of bull calves. So tightly was the truck tire wedged around Soup and me that our arms were pinned to our sides. Helpless. Darn you, Janice, yelled Soup. Please, I cautioned, don't rile her up. There was Janice up on Mr. Backley's 2-story garage roof, her mean old face looking down at us and spitting. She missed, lucky for us. But I could sure tell just by the way she was moving her mouth, that Janice was trying to work up another gob. Let's run, suggested Soup. So we ran, until Janice grabbed the rope, the other end of which was knotted around the truck tire, and yanked. Over we went, because Soup and I were pounded into that ring of black rubber like a pair of pegs, and it sure isn't a whole lot of fun to fall down in the dust when your hands are pinned to your sides. Soup and I were face to face, so tight together that I could feel his buttons on his shirt digging into my chest. I'm coming down, yelled Janice. Hand under hand, her sneakers gripping the long, thick rope, Janice Riker climbed down, all the way from atop Mr. Backley's roof to where the rope was tied to the truck tire. The trouble was that the tire was standing up in a rolling position, while Soup and I were lying down, me on the bottom and Soup on the top. He sure was heavy. Soup? Yeah. Roll over a bit, will ya? Janice smiled. I could stand Janice once in a while, but never when she smiled, because her show of teeth meant only one thing, happiness for her and pain for somebody else. You want to roll over? Janice asked. I didn't answer, and neither did Soup. Looking up, I watched silently as Janice's dirty fingers untied the rope that was around the tire, knotted behind Soup's backs. The knot wasn't easy to untie, not even for Janice, and I heard her say a naughty word. Every autumn, during the final days of October and early November, Putz Creek sort of stopped being a creek and turned into a shallow mud hole. I didn't think Janice would do it, but she did. With a grunt, Janice started to roll the truck tire. I knew it was rolling merrily along because behind Soup's head I saw sky, mud, sky, mud, sky, mud. Whoa, said Janice. The truck tire stopped rolling just before it got to the bank of Putz Creek. Never would I have believed that Janice Riker would save Soup and me from such a fate, but she did. I don't want you guys to die, said Janice, too fast. Slowly, she rolled us back up the hill for another go. We gotta get out of this tire, said Soup. Quiet, ordered Janice. I'll do the talking. What about, Soup asked. Voting, said Janice. We were, all four of us, if you want to count the tire, back on top of the little hill. Inside the tire, Soup was again lying on my stomach, and I sure wasn't in the mood for much conversation. Few folks are when wedged into a truck tire. Soup and I must have looked like two fingers poking through the hole of a donut. I want Norma Jean to win, said Janice. So do I, said Soup. You do? I asked Soup. His eye shot me a quick wink. Never had Soup or I been able to outfight Janice, but it was usually a lead pipe cinch to outsmart her. Between her ears, all Janet Riker had was suet. Remember, Soup whispered in my ear, that we're a whale of a lot foxier than Janice. Oh yeah, I whispered back. Then how come she's out there and we're in here? No talking, said Janice, or else. Or else what? Asked Soup. You want to find out, said Janice, her fists on her hips in a real fighting pose. No, I said. And now, said Janice, let's talk about how both of you guys are going to vote for Norma Jean Bissell on Election Day, which is Monday. It's on Tuesday, I said. Monday! Janice raised her voice and kicked the tire. You know, Rob, said Soup, we plumb forgot. Forgot what? We can't vote unless we register. Huh? Asked Janice. That's right, I said, as I played along, wondering what Soup was up to. You guys better vote for Norma Jean. We would if we could, I said. But we can't, said Soup. You can't? No, insisted Soup. We didn't register. Register? Asked Janice. What's that? Soup lifted an eyebrow. It was a signal, like football, that he wanted to lateral the ball to me because he was stuck for an answer. And that was when I caught his meaning and really came through like a 10-star trooper. Cash register, I said quickly. Right, said Soup. I don't get it, said Janice. Simple, said Soup. Before you can vote next Tuesday, you have to write your name on a piece of paper, called a ballot, I said, and then you cast your ballot, said Soup. Where? Janice bent down and glowered into our faces. You have to go and put your ballot into Mr. Jupert's cash register. Mr. Agnew Jupert owned the local candy store. He was near to 100 years old, according to Soup's best guess, and he had the personality of a hungry buzzard. Not only that, but he guarded his big gold cash register tighter than a bulldog guards a bone. That's right, Janice, I said. You don't vote unless your name gets put in Mr. Jupert's register, and today's the last day, said Soup. For what? To register, Janice, or none of us get to vote. Yeah, and Norma Jean Bissell will lose, I said. And I'll win, Soup grunted. You better hurry, Janice, and go register. Best I hurry, Janice agreed, and you two birds better be here when I get back. Dukes up, she shook a fist at Soup's face and at mine. Turning, she raced off in the direction of Mr. Agnew Jupert's candy store. Let's get out of this tire, said Soup. Okay, but how? Wiggle a bit. I can't. Rob, are you stuck as tight as I am? Yep. We gotta think. Janice will be back, I said, wincing at the idea. Like poison ivy, said Soup. Our only chance, I said, is to roll away. Right, agreed Soup. And I know where. Where to? Mr. Diskin's junkyard. He might be closed. Sometimes on Saturday afternoon, Mr. Diskin closes up early. It's a chance we have to take, so start rocking the tire. We rocked it. Nothing happened. Rock harder, said Soup. How, I'll never fully understand or really care about, but we started the tire rolling along the dirt path next to Putz Creek toward the general direction of Mr. Diskin's junkyard. It's not easy to get a tire to roll when you're wedged inside it, but it's quite a bit harder to stop it. Around and around went Soup's head, and the expression on his face was nothing short of sheer panic. As for me, I didn't panic much. All I did was scream. Faster and faster went the truck tire through Mrs. Quinn's sagging clothesline. Soup's head was suddenly wearing a pair of pink panties. And that was when, rolling even faster, we crashed through a stand of empty milk cans. Clangs and gongs of empty metal ringing in our ears, we rolled on to only fate knew where. It must have been through somebody's garden, because between my teeth was a late-blooming yellow chrysanthemum, and in my nose was the strong smell of organic fertilizer. We stopped it. The truck tire mercifully rolled to a halt in a large pack of prickers. The bumps, of which there had been many, had loosened the tire, so out we crawled, leaving the black ring of rubber behind us. Somebody yelled. It was Mr. Jupert. Stop! Thief! Not many people in town can catch a fullback like Janice, and Mr. Jupert was the only soul I ever saw do it. Tall and lanky, his legs really reached out, then outstretched his long arm and collared Janice quicker than you'd boat a hooked sunfish. I was only trying to register, croaked Janice, helpless in the grip of Mr. Jupert, who had no intention of letting her go, especially someone who had the nerve to tamper with his cash box. It sure was a scene to watch. Soup and I both laughed as we sat on a bench and one by one pulled out the prickers.